All right, we're back. This is our fourth episode, and yeah, we're here. We was gonna record the other day, and I didn't. I didn't have a topic, so we didn't record because I realized that doing this, you actually need stuff to talk about, even if you're me and can talk about anything most of the time. But when you need to have an hour to talk about something, or even 30 minutes, like if you don't have a topic, it becomes a lot. So yeah. So today we're going to talk about me and Amanda and our who we are as people, but how different we are, because anybody that knows us or has been around us within 30 seconds can realize that we are the two most different people probably on the whole planet to ever be married to each other. You think so?
Yeah, for sure. In every way.
Literally every way. So, um, yeah, and we'll just talk about some of that, how we make it work, what we do to just, you know, to stay happy and keep things, you know, um, civil between each other, because that can be, tough at times too. But yeah, so the first thing anybody's going to notice in our differences is that Amanda's very introverted. She's very quiet, and I talk to everybody and anybody.
Endlessly.
I met a German lady at Walmart the other day in town from Germany in the line at the grocery store, and I noticed that she had these awesome tattoos. And so I was like, "Oh, I like your tattoos." And she had a baby with her. And so she started talking to me, and we found out that her husband was from here, and she's lived in Germany. They still live in Germany, and she's just here visiting. And we became friends in the Walmart
Yeah.
checkout line, didn't we?
Yeah. I think you'll exchange like socials and stuff.
No, we didn't do that. We did not do that, but we did become friends. So, but it's just things like that, when I go out and I see people in public, or I meet random people, whether it's, old, young, it doesn't matter if I have a reason, or if I need to ask them a question, or if they have a shirt on I like, or a pair of shoes, or a tattoo, or a hat, it doesn't matter. I'm going to go up and compliment them, and then also talk to them about whatever else comes to mind.
Yeah. Yeah, you do. Endlessly. Like, it's a hostage situation. They're not getting away from you.
They usually don't want to. They're usually enjoying it, because normal people actually enjoy talking to people.
I don't mind talking to people. I can tell somebody, hey, I like your shoes or whatever, but it just doesn't need to keep going. It doesn't need to, who's your cousin? Like I might know them and down this whole rabbit hole of conversation.
Well, I don't know about that, um, but that's going to be the first thing that people notice. It is our differences in, um, our personality. Essentially, Amanda's very quiet, but also like it gets deeper than that. Of um, just like the little things, like we do like the same music, a lot of the same music. Like on our ways to work, we, I'll control the music. But, I like it as loud as possible, and Amanda wants it like 25% loud, you know. Um, when we're, driving to work and I'm blaring music, and she wants it super loud,
Well, because
or she doesn't want it loud.
Here's the thing. If you're driving and you're listening to music really loud, or you're singing real obnoxiously as we're going down the road, or you're playing like the drums on the steering wheel or any of that, I already know that I may die that day, because it's your thing. When you're doing those things, I know
that I'm
That-
not focused.
No, at all. You don't do it every day. Like some days you just get in and you just listen to music and we just go. But there are those days that you get in and you're jamming to Pink Pony Club and you are just in your zone and it's not driving.
Well, get down. But I mean, I agree somewhat, but you know, we are, we are super similar in some ways. It's really weird, but like the differences is the main one is I'm very talkative and loud. Amanda's very quiet. We do like a lot of the same TV shows. We watch tons of true crime. We watch all the cop shows. We watch, you know, a lot of stuff like that. I like superhero stuff. Amanda doesn't. She doesn't like action movies really, but I do. But then we also, in terms of just differences, I drive us everywhere. She doesn't hardly drive anymore. Like if she needs to go to the grocery, she'll drive, but really she just doesn't drive much anymore. She likes to be at home. Like when we get off work, like I would be the kind to be like, oh, well, maybe let's do this or do that, and she's like, I want to be home, um, and she, when we're at work, can get carried away. Like when we get there, we have side work and we have stuff to do, and she will come straight in. Like, she's also early to everything. So we get to work like 2 hours early now. We used to, when we first got together and we started working together, we'd be flying in. Like I'd barely be getting us to work on time. Literally like you have like a 5-minute grace period before and after your clock in time. And we would barely be making that. And it would cause her anxiety just to be all over the place, to being anxious about being late for work. And I think most people, can relate to that in some form. But we would get in there and finally we started, leaving for work a little early. And especially where we started at this job, we lived an hour away. So we're like, we need to leave early. And we've just stuck with it. And, so when we get there, she won't, I like to take that time to goof off and talk and do all of that. Whereas you like to go in and start getting your work done and then.
Well, I eat lunch and then I do that.
Right. She comes in, she eats, and then she will start doing her work. But she can do the work. She doesn't have to be rushed to do it. But then she also has the time after that to, make sure everything else is ready and all of that. And I'm usually talking or doing something else, or even when we're in the middle of work, there's a lot of times that, she's handling and doing all this other stuff while, I'm hyper focused on one thing. Like I can need to do one simple thing and I'm focused on that, whereas she's focused on the big picture. And that's kind of like our life in general. I think you're focused on our whole life as the big picture, whereas I'm focused on one single project. He's really aggravating me. I know that anybody that's watching this can hear him down there just licking his feet.
He's so cute.
No, he's not. He's got them propped up on the metal of the table, and he's just licking them. But anyways, what else can you think of?
I don't know. I mean, we, as far as like politically, are pretty much the same. Like,
Oh, that's one. Amanda doesn't. She's not a big gun person, and I am. So
Okay.
that's where we definitely are different there.
So that's not accurate. That's not accurate.
Why would you use the word big?
I grew up in family that hunted. I grew up around guns. I grew up around, the mentality of, protecting what's yours and your family and all of that. I just did not grow up around Call of Duty and that world that you live in. So, yeah. Like,
Well, I
I
mean,
have guns. I just don't, need to, trick them out. Like,
yeah, but I do. And
and that's part of it. Any hobby that Johnny picks up, he is gonna all the way in, all the way in. Like, there is no, dabbling. There's no, oh, I like this a little bit. There is either not interested or all the way obsessed. And that's where you lie with that one.
well, that is true, but I just don't know how to be any other way. Like, you know, if I'm, working in the garage and I've got a project, my problem is I'll start a project and I'll be there just focused on it in the garage, and I'll see a pair of pliers that I'm about to use or something, and I'll see they have a little bit of rust on them. Well, then my mind tells me I need to go get a sander or a Dremel tool to sand that rust off of that tool that I'm about to use. That's perfectly fine, but it's got a little bit of rust on it. And so my mind hyperfixates on that. That tells me that if I don't go fix that right then my life's over, you know.
Well,
Or
it's not.
well, I get that. Or it was like the other night when we got home from work, I noticed that the inside of the windshield was a little just foggy
Yeah.
and dirty, right?
30 minutes later, you're coming upstairs.
Right, because I had to clean the windshield right then. Like there was I have like one of those suction cup foam mounts on the front on the windshield, and where I had moved it, there's like a spot that's a circle, and it was driving me insane. So when we got home from work, instead of getting out of the truck, coming up, taking a shower, I cleaned the windshield. It was really clean and shiny the next day, though. Like, I noticed a huge difference. On the way home from work, I wasn't seeing that little circle and just, fixated on looking, out a little circle 2 inches wide out the windshield, or, just drying it off when you wash it. Just little things like that. Like, you know, but it's so weird, too, because Amanda's also, very like when she goes into the kitchen at work, she's going to wash her hands 30 times. At she washes our sheets and bed stuff several times a week. Like, and I know some of it people are just like, well, that's just a woman thing versus a man thing. And some of it is, like men and women are chemically different. Their mind is different. They think differently naturally, I think, in a lot of ways. But because me, I would wash the sheets like once a month, probably.
I know.
But I would also wash, my clothes and this and that. Like she's just very routine oriented, and I'm very by the seat of my pants. Like I could have somebody text me right now and say, "Hey, you want to come and get something to eat, or you want to come hang out?" And I'm off work today. I could be like, "Sure, I have nothing to do. Literally nothing to do." But if I didn't tell her about this beforehand and be like, "Hey, we're going to go hang out with somebody on Friday," and I just hit her with it on Friday morning, not that she can't get up and get herself ready and look nice. She can do all that. But she is going to totally melt down and say, I didn't plan for this. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to wear. I don't know this. And I'll be like, well, just put on regular clothes. You look amazing right now.
There's different places. There's different things. Like, I like to plan. I like to know what the plan is. We get up on a day off and I say, what's the plan? Because
yeah, but I'm scared sometimes to tell you what the plan is, because I'm afraid if I say, well, my plan is to actually go do this, or what I would really like to do is go do this. I know the look you're going to give me when I do that, or what you might say. So a lot of times I'm just like, well, my plan's to go downstairs and hang out with you all day.
No, because it's the same thing if I say I need to go to Costco, and you're like, what do you need from Costco? Like that'll be your question. Or I need to run to the grocery. What do you need from the grocery?
Well,
Like,
that's a valid question. I'm
no,
curious
it's
what you
not
need.
groceries.
Well, I hadn't thought of that. But, like, I also hate going in places I don't go in the grocery very much anymore because of when I go into a grocery store with her, 9 times out of 10,
He's irresponsible.
I'm
He
not-
cannot help himself. No, we went to the grocery one time. We were in Meyer, and you went one way. I went actually grocery shopping. I find you later, and you've got a step ladder, a bunch of tire cleaner, like a degreaser, like all of this just random stuff that we might need at some point.
yeah, I use it all. Matter of fact, I think that stepladder's standing in front of us right now. But, you know, when I go into the grocery, though, no matter what the bill is, it's going to be $200 more.
Because you're irresponsible.
No, I'm not.
Yes.
I'm just see stuff that I know we need for the house. But, you know, you take that, she goes to the grocery once a week, at least. That's at least $800 a month I would spend if I went to the grocery store every time. Guarantee it. I can do it. I might.
And it's not stuff we need for the house. We ran in Target the other day, and what did you do? What did you do?
I bought a bunch of candy.
Mm-hmm.
Like $100 worth.
That's normally what it is that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I went into
Candy,
Target the other day.
ice cream.
So they make these frozen sour grapes, frozen sour mango, and frozen sour pineapple. You get them in the frozen food section. If you like grapes, it's like I don't know, like sour candy on the outside of the frozen grape. They're amazing. I've been eating like a bag of them every day. But then I buy lemon head ropes, peppermint patties, Nerds, freeze-dried Skittles, and then the Fuego Skittles. They make hot, gummy Skittles now. It's like a chamoy and tahini on top of the Skittle. Oh, they're life-changing. And I eat them all the time. I'll eat the candy all day, every day. And then, yeah, they're just really good. I used to eat candy at night in bed.
Yeah,
and that would make Amanda so mad. It would be 3 a.m. I'm dead asleep, and I don't even wake up to do it. I just would, you know, naturally while sleeping, grab a box of Lemon Heads or Red Hots and just eat them in my sleep on my back. I'm surprised I never choked on them, you know. But and then Amanda would be punching me and kicking me, telling me to stop. That's why I don't keep crunchy candy in the bed by the bed anymore.
No, but he still keeps stuff over there. Okay, so another difference. Johnny will stay up. Like in the mornings, he'll wake up and be like, "Oh, I didn't sleep at all." But he has an iPad mounted to the side of our bed. So when he rolls over, his iPad is right in his face. And he will stay up all night watching podcasts or YouTube videos. That's why you're not getting sleep. But you'll also hear him like Templeton the rat over there, like with beef sticks.
I'm not a rat.
Beef sticks and I don't know what else you've got going on. When I'll go wash the sheets, I'll find like a beef stick tucked in the mattress where you're like saving it the night before for your YouTube snack.
Yes, not an open one. But I keep Chomps, they're protein beef sticks. And at night, I'm laying there watching, and I don't want to get up and go to the kitchen and get a snack because I know it'll wake her and Calvin up. So I just have my little beef stick, but I try to open it really quietly, pull the plastic apart, and she's yelling, "What are you over there eating?" I'll be like, "Nothing." She's like, "You're eating something. I know you are." And I'm like, "Beef stick, eat it and get it out of here," you know.
Yeah.
But I started eating like beef sticks and stuff, or I'll eat like that's it, fruit bars. And if I remember, I'll open them as we're first laying down, and I'll just have them all open there on a paper towel. But Amanda always likes to tell everybody that I used to have a spice rack next to the bed.
You did. You did. You completely did with all of your favorite spices because, fixing your stuff in the kitchen was just too much effort.
That's true. I did have a spice rack. I'm not ashamed of it. Like I thought it was a great idea at the time. This is when we lived in an apartment and I had to go all the way downstairs to the kitchen. And so I just mounted a spice rack. It wasn't labeled a spice rack. It was a little shelf that mounted on the wall next to the bed that I made into a spice rack with like tahini, Tony Chachery, salt, pepper, your best spices that you would eat in like ramen noodles and stuff. Something else I learned the other night that and this shows like our different way of thinking is Amanda always gets mad at me when she says she cooks for us every night, essentially, mostly 7 days a week. She cooks for us, seriously, like full meals. But sometimes if we get off work later, sometimes she might not feel good or whatever, but she'll say, I really don't feel like cooking tonight, And my thought process is to relieve her of that worry or of her having to do anything for me. I say, well, don't worry about me. I'll eat ramen noodles. Mm-hmm. Okay. So she goes around asking everybody we work with 2 nights ago and says, what's your answer to this? If your girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife said, hey, I really don't feel like cooking tonight. Mm-hmm. Every single one of them said,
what are we ordering?
What are we ordering out? What are we DoorDashing? Or one person I think said, well, how about I cook for us tonight? Or what are we going to order?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But that's
the correct answer.
That's, what did you call irresponsible? Is that what you called me a minute ago?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what that is, because we have food in the house, but yet we'd rather spend $40 eating out.
No, that's not accurate. We don't eat out often at all.
We don't.
And I like it that way. I like to know what I'm eating. I like to know what's in my food. I like to eat at home. Occasionally, you just want some Mexican or something. And, on a day off, and I'm like, hey, I don't really want to cook tonight. You should pick up what I'm laying down and be like, oh, well, let's go get some Mexican. But no, what do? I'll just eat a bowl of cereal.
Well, it's usually ramen noodles because that's more of a dinner food.
Mm.
But I think that's completely appropriate, and I'm still going to argue that because I'm saying, hey, I can't decide what you're going to eat,
mm-hmm.
But I can say, hey, don't worry about me. I'll take care of myself because I'm a grown up,
mm-hmm.
and I'll eat ramen noodles, And that's also implying that, hey, if you tell me what you would like.
Sometimes you just don't want to. You want the other person to, pick up the slack, to take care of it.
Well, I don't know about that, but I do know that.
Because that's one of our biggest differences, is Johnny does not understand how meals work. Like, when he's talking about his candy, he could make a full meal out of his candy. Or, he could eat ramen for the next month and cereal. He's fine. He's not going to get up and eat any kind of breakfast. He only, in the last year, has started eating lunch with me when we get to work, because normally he would eat a protein bar at about 4:00, and that would be all he would have until we got home from work.
No, it'd be like 4:30, 5 o'clock. I wouldn't eat.
You've only recently started eating lunch.
Yeah, over about the last year, probably the year. Yeah. So we've been at where we work at now for almost 6.5 years, over 6.5 years. And that whole time I wake up at, 10, 11, 12 o'clock, and I wouldn't eat till 4:30, 5 o'clock every day. And I would only eat a protein bar. That was it. And then I would eat when we got home from work. That was it. That's all the food I would put in my body for the day other than candy.
Yeah.
And then so now I do eat lunch with you every day. I don't eat the protein bars. But Amanda always brings snacks for us. We always have, protein beef sticks, fruit bars. We have snacks to eat on throughout the night at work. But I will say, if she said, hey, I just what do you want for dinner? I could say asparagus.
Yes, that's where I was going.
Go ahead, though.
He does not know, like, putting meals together, like a protein and a side. Like, you can really say, what do you want to eat tonight? And he'll be like, I'm good with some asparagus. I just don't.
It's really good. It's good for you, and you eat enough of
Not
it,
when
you get
you
full.
do it the way you do.
I put lemon juice, salt, and pepper on it. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Lemon juice, salt, pepper. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Who doesn't love
Let's
asparagus
talk-
with lemon juice, salt, and pepper?
Also, if you're gonna make something, like if I'm gonna make like just something super basic, I'm gonna make spaghetti. That turns into a whole thing too, because he grew up eating a very, very sweet spaghetti sauce. So for years, I have tried to get it right for him. It's so incredibly unhealthy. Like it's just it's not even it's so gross, but it's not even healthy. I buy good healthy sauce. I make all this stuff, and he needs a cup and a half of brown sugar in his sauce.
Yeah, because brown sugar is great in spaghetti sauce. That's the only way you should eat it.
No.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Brown sugar in spaghetti sauce is amazing.
No.
Yes,
So
it is.
that's when
My mom puts it in there, and that makes it the best.
Okay.
But one time, Amanda was making spaghetti and meatballs, and I was playing video games, and she comes down there, and so I'll usually just sit in my bowl there and eat it when I get done with that game. And I remember lifting it up, not thinking nothing about it, and I took a bite, and I tasted that delicious brown sugar in it. And I remember I turned back at her. I had the biggest smile. I probably could give her 1,000 hugs right then.
Okay, so first of all, I do not eat that. I do not, it's not happening. So I separate some sauce off. And that particular time, if we're being honest, I was trying to show you how gross it was. So I put an obscene amount of brown sugar in that little bit of sauce. I mean, so much, because I was like, oh, he likes it sweet. Let's see it sweet. And I take it down trying to prove a point that sweet spaghetti sauce is so stupid, and he loves it. So
yeah, it was the best spaghetti she's ever made. Yeah, it was. I love it, but she doesn't do that anymore. Sometimes I'll be like, oh, this tastes a little different. She'll be like, yeah, I put brown sugar in it this time for you. And I'm
I
like,
do every time. I separate it out and I put brown sugar in
but
it.
you don't put enough, though, because I just barely can notice a little bit. But our don't shake your head at me.
It's just
What is wrong with you?
so gross.
But, we eat differently, but we eat the same, if that makes sense, too. Like, Amanda could eat Mexican food every day of the week.
Mm-hmm.
I like to eat junk food. I like beer, cheese, and crackers. I ate a lot of Uncrustables. I ate Hot Pockets. She drinks a gallon of water every day, and I drink a gallon of L8 every day. So, L8, if you're listening,
They're not.
I need a sponsorship. But yeah, I also, I don't know how to say this. I'm also as scatterbrained as I can be. I'm also a very good planner and preparer for things, though. Like, anytime we go on a trip, I do all of our itinerary. I plan everything. I schedule everything. What? When have you scheduled a trip or,
Well,
or
I haven't.
reserved a hotel room or a plane ticket?
I don't, because that is on you. But I was just thinking back to sitting in the airport on our last trip when the meltdown ensued.
What, when I ran off and left you?
No, that was at the next airport. When the boarding times didn't match. When we were about to get on the plane to go to Detroit or wherever. And our connection was going to be like 45 minutes before we even landed.
It wasn't that much. It was like, it was like 15 minutes.
Before we landed.
Yeah.
And so then some flight attendant that was going to be on that flight talked you through it, thought it was going to be okay. You are so upset that I even looked into it. Like, why are you even looking at that? You shouldn't be looking at that. Like, I shouldn't like be planning for what we're in for. Then we land and we have got to book it to get to our connection. And there's like 3 or 4 other people that are trying to get to this same connection. And so we're all kind of together. But y'all, I have asthma. And running through an airport is not something that I'm going to be able to do. His legs are longer than mine. I'm
faster.
No, but he has now taken off. So for a little while, I can see him, and he is just going, and and then I can't see him anymore. And I'm like, great. I'm in the middle of this Detroit airport. I'm just gonna sit down right here, finish this asthma attack that I'm in the middle of, take a rest. I'm not worried about getting to New York anymore.
Yeah, because my thought was, well, I can get up here ahead of her, and if I can get to the gate and let them know that my special needs wife is coming, then they would hold the gate up for her. And so I ran up there. I see there's a line at the gate, and so I turn around and I start running back for her. And about that time, she comes around the corner, and she's mad. Also, what was I going to say? But I plan everything. I do all of our trips. I've planned every single thing for every trip we've ever done, and they've all been flawless. Like I have, took us to the Hollywood sign, just all these places. I always, I think I'm really good with planning trips. And, the last time we were in New York, if anybody doesn't know, and you're exploring the city on your last day, but you have to check out or you have time before you can check into your hotel room, there's luggage storage centers around New York City, which was the most amazing thing.
Most places have those. Most bigger cities have
places
like that.
But this was a hotel. It was a hotel that we weren't staying in, and they offer luggage storage. You pay them, it was like $8 for the day per bag. And instead of us having to carry 20-pound backpacks all over New York City, we were able to take it there, pay them, you take pictures of everything, and then you leave it there, and then you go back and pick it up. It had my iPad in it. It had a lot of expensive stuff in it. So I was a little nervous, but we did it. And they're all over New York City. Some of them it's like little bodegas and stuff. So that was a little sketchy, but yeah. But also, what I was going back to about being prepared is Amanda prepares us for the day. She makes our lunch. She makes our food. I prepare us for the future. I have gallons of water. I have life straws.
Where do you have gallons of water?
In the garage.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
No, you do not.
Yes, I do. I have like 10-gallon jugs of water down there under my workbench and under where all my cleaning supplies are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that if something happened, we have fresh water. I have life straws. Otherwise, you can go drink out of a mud puddle with those. I have all the weapons and ammo we would need. I have tons of paracord, gas mask. I need I think it's called a whoopee. It's like one of those military blankets that'll keep you warm no matter what. But I have, and then in the bed of the truck in plastic totes, I have Amanda's muck boots. I have her winter pants. I have maybe a winter jacket for her in there, but I have stuff that'll keep her gloves, toboggans. I have everything you would need for if we got in a wreck, say on the interstate, and it was freezing and we ran off into a valley or something and nobody could get to us. I have stuff that would keep her warm and safe, And so that's my thought all the time is if this happens, how can I keep her safe and be able to get us help, And, she also likes to work out. Like I said, she drinks like a gallon of water a day and she tries to eat super healthy. I do not, but I do want to be healthy. And I think I've I've made some progress in the last year more than I ever have. I've at least worked out some. I do eat healthier foods when you feed them to me, you know. So I think overall, I've lived a little bit healthier lifestyle in the last year.
You have.
You know, I wouldn't call it a healthy lifestyle, but overall more healthy. But, you know, she complains about my driving a lot. I never complain about hers. She can be driving and I'm scared to death.
Yes,
and I'll just be over there like, oh my God,
Yes,
oh my
you
God, oh my God,
do.
oh my God. You know, but we've gotten so in sync now that we have hand motions, or she does when I'm driving. So if something's up ahead or she's trying to do something, she just does this and she just like wiggles her fingers. And so in the peripheral, I can see those fingers wiggling and I know to pay attention to everything. You know, it's just things
Then
like
if it's
that.
really about to hit the fan, then I scream like the other day.
Yeah, she'll scream like, or she'll say, Johnny. And I'm like, do not scream my name like that when nothing's wrong.
You were literally about to hit something.
I was not. I seen them. You know. But, you know, we are different, and literally two people I don't think could be more different. You know, we agree on the important things though. I think we agree on, you know, and this is coming, let's take it back to, you know, when you're talking about being an alcoholic and an addict, you know, addicts were known for being on that, you know, bipolar-ish spectrum, ADHD, ADD, OCD. So many people are diagnosed with those disorders that are addicts that don't actually have any of them. It's the addiction, drugs, alcohol mixed in with it that creates those symptoms. You know, we've figured that out from being around a lot of people that's been in AA and that's just drug addicts. And that once they get sober, they don't have a lot of those symptoms anymore. They go away. But, you know, when you have those things and then you get together and you're with somebody else that is also a drug addict, you know, when you're an addict and you're with somebody who's not, they don't understand you at all, like in that aspect, because they don't have those feelings. They don't have those cravings. They don't have any of that. You know, they've never experienced withdrawals. So they don't get it. But when you have somebody who does, they do get it. But you're also walking a fine line of like, you know, they're also going through the same thing you're going through at times. They're thinking the same way you're thinking. So you have two people that are known for not always thinking the best and behaving or making the best decisions together, trying to make good decisions. You know, whereas if I'm the addict and you're not, you're already making better decisions. You're already not, you know, you're probably living a normal life. So yeah, you're having to combat my bad decisions, but the worry isn't that you're also going to be making bad decisions. Whereas in our relationship, you know, if I went off the rails today, I trust and believe that she wouldn't, but there's a fear there, you know, it could be possible. Same, you know, I've said before that I'm not sure, but I think that if Amanda started drinking again today, I would be right behind her with a bottle to take a drink, you know. But you add all those up, and when people are already different, like we are so different, then I think us being addicts and being so similar there and having that bond is a lot of what makes ours work.
Right. Well, like when you get into AA and they say we're people who ordinarily wouldn't mix.
Right.
I think it's that kind of thing because you find a commonality. There's a bond there.
Right.
Automatically because you're coming through something and then, you know, I don't know, when you've been through a lot of the things like we have been through, I think a lot of that small stuff that in a normal relationship might be a big deal, a lot of those differences that we have really aren't that big of a deal.
Right. No, I agree. Like, but with, you know, with the addiction side of it, and, you know, we have that bond about, you know, we met at AA, and then we also have the familiarity with going down the road of addiction and getting high and drunk and dealing with it in the actually the hands-on part of it, the act of using part of it. We can relate back and forth to each other, like,
Right.
oh, I've done this drug, I did this drug caused me to lose this, and like, and I've had a bunch of people message and say, hey, you all should, you need, tell your backstories more. And we had talked on the one podcast, well, we kind of already qualified ourselves, but I do want to go back and tell some of these backstories and kind of tell, life was extremely bad for us at times, like really, really, really bad. And even after we got sober, life can still be bad. You lose loved ones, people die, you go broke, you don't have money, you can't find a job, like all those things, and that's what I think is one of the most important parts of our story, and is our story as a whole, is the hard work, dedication, commitment, determination that the two of us had together, because one of us couldn't have done it,
Right.
but it was both of us together that we had that brought us out of that into where we are today. And, I'm not ashamed to say, I think we've become pretty successful,
Mhm.
like, but I always keep it in the back of my head that it could be gone tomorrow,
Yeah.
like, you remind me of that a lot, like this could be gone tomorrow, like, first of all, one time getting high, if I was, oh, I'm just going to go get high one time, the last time I did that, I went to rehab, when I'd been sober, I was like, oh, I'm just going to get high once. And I ended up in rehab for 17 months. But today, I think with the success we found and the money that we have available today, it would be way worse.
Mhm.
It would be way worse, because, when you've got a lot of money, that's why we see so many rich people and celebrities that die. And we're not rich or nothing. I'm just saying, like, we're not broke and poor anymore, like we have access to money. If we wanted to go get drugs or alcohol, like we could actually do that today. Whereas when you're broke and poor, you have to find a way just to get a little bit to get high, just to get through the day, But the I always found that similarities, and people always say, like, find the similarities in other people and not the differences,
Right.
Because people say opposites attract, and that is true, and it has been for us, but it's the similarities we have that maybe normal people may not see, our sense of humor, like we can laugh at the house, like, and we don't do enough laughing anymore. We used to laugh way more with each other, and that's just honest. We used to literally, we would laugh so hard with and at each other every day that it was nonstop laughing, and we still laugh with and at each other all the time, but it's not as much as it used to be. And that's, a lot of it's, I'm focused on my phone, because also when we met, I wasn't allowed to have a phone. So the first 7-8 months of us knowing each other, I wasn't allowed to be on a phone. So she had my full undivided attention most of the time. And when I got out of rehab and was able to have a phone and moved back home and had all this normal phone, life stuff, I know it's different for her. And even now she was like, well, you're on the phone all the time. When I met you, you wasn't. And I was like, because I wasn't allowed to have one, but there definitely are as many similarities as there is differences. And maybe we'll talk about that soon too, about the actual similarities. But we are so different. Life has guided us along, and we've both played our own part. We both have a role in this relationship and in this marriage, that allows the two different paths to eventually, comes together. And they may split back off and do that, but they come together. I tell everybody, Amanda's the best cook I've ever met. She could go work at any 5-star restaurant today and absolutely kill it, because that's how good of being able to cook. She says, well, I'm just a country cook. That may be so, but that don't mean that you can't cook other things and couldn't, just with a little bit of learning. Like, You're amazing. Calvin, quit licking. Go lay back down.
But I think our difference is, I think they're helpful to the other person, because where you are so far extroverted and I am so far introverted, it causes me to have to come outside of that a lot. And
Oh, yeah.
it's not necessarily comfortable, but it's necessary. So that happens just as a byproduct, but also where he is so loose-lipped all the time and not in any way
I'm not loose-lipped.
private or any of that. I'm able to be there to be like, zip it.
100%. Like, there's so many times I could have got myself in trouble at home, work, restaurant, everywhere. And whether it's I'm upset or I'm just talking about whatever, you know, and she's like, you need to be quiet, you know, which Amanda's way more private about, you know, our life, her personal life, my personal life. Like, she just is the type of person that just says it's none of nobody's business where I've been, where I'm going. If I want to allow people to have that information, if I want to tell people about my life today and what kind of car I drive, I'll tell them. If I don't, it's none of their business, you know, and she just kind of stands on that. And I'm like, well, I just don't care enough. Like, if I'm talking to somebody and it comes up, I'm not going to watch what I'm saying. You know, I'm just going to say it. And that's another thing. Like, you could care less of what kind of car we have. Like, as long as it's a car that gets her,
Stop.
you know, from A to B and gets us there, like, she's fine with it. She doesn't care about technology and all the new gadgets. And I've been telling her, you need to get ChatGPT. You need ChatGPT. And she still hasn't done it. And we know how good that is. Like, it's life changing. And, you know, she just doesn't care about that kind of stuff. Like, you know, if we didn't have all the stuff we have today, she would be okay with moving into like a RV and just living in there, you know. But, you know, that's not feasible at this point. Maybe at some point in the future, but, you know. And, you know, she treats Calvin like a baby. I try to treat him like a big boy because he's 4. He is a big boy. And Amanda's like, no, he's a baby. So, you know, and then even with like with our kids, like, you know, we're different people, so we interact with them differently, you know. Like, even with them, I'm more talkative, and I've always been the bigger pushover too, you know. And Amanda's more stands on business. She's more like, this is, you know, this is the way things are, you know. And especially with like people coming to our house or whatever, like, Amanda's like, this is my house. You're going to respect the rules. Because she don't like us coming inside with our shoes on, or she don't like me coming in if I've been at work and laying on the bed. I was watching a No Jumper podcast the other day, and they were talking on there. Adam 22 was saying that if he's out, they were talking about wearing shoes inside, and he was like, no, I don't do that. He was like, actually, if I'm outside, like in LA, and come home, like, my wife don't even want me wearing, like, sitting on the bed or stuff with my clothes on. Mm-hmm. He was like, you know, and honestly, it's kind of crazy to think about if you're out here sitting on a park bench in LA and then go lay in your bed after sitting on a dirty ass park bench, you know? So, I mean, I was like, oh my God, I hope Amanda never sees this.
Yeah. But you told me because you're so loose-lipped.
I told you because I'm bad about proving points for her. Because I'll hear something and I'll be like, oh, that's what she says. Instead of hiding it and being like, nope, can't give her any validation that what she says is correct. I'll tell her because I don't know why, and it'll validate her whole argument. Like, I win more arguments for you than you win for yourself.
Because I don't need to. I'm right. I'm correct. When you are
that's
at
relative,
work or
though,
outside or whatever, the bottom of your shoes are, and then you walk all through the house in them, and that's disgusting to think about what gets on the floor. And then not to mention the clothes that you're wearing out
Yeah, but we can get in
And
the
then
truck.
you come in and because wherever we have been in a day, a week, a month, a year is in the truck. Whatever we've touched, whatever we've done, it's in the truck, it's in the seats. And then you get
Well, what do you think's just living on a truck seat for a month?
whatever you've done. It just like transfers.
It's not just sitting there, that one little speck of dust just sitting there and just waiting to come into our bed. That germ, or I don't know what you think's on them, but yeah, I can get in the truck and drive to the gas station, get out and pump gas, not even be around another human or a place, and get back in the truck and drive home, and she's going to expect me to take a shower.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that's absolutely insane.
No. The germs.
It is insane.
The contaminants. No. Mm-mm.
No, that's crazy. But yeah, that's we're so different there. Like, and I'm not saying I'm not clean, but I'm not OCD to that level, you know. And I think that's a lot of our differences are just highlighted because we both take things to the extreme ends of the spectrum, right? So that really highlights and makes us notice our own differences. You know, I'm also very romantic and Amanda's not. No, I'm just joking. No. I am more of like affectionate in ways, like I'll tell her like I love her all the time, and she's just more quiet. Like she's just not going to walk around saying that, you know. Like I'm not like the let's make out in public type of person, but
You would.
it wouldn't bother me. But like if I tried that, I should video it sometime and try to just give her this big kiss in front of people, and she would literally melt right there in her shoes. Like zero chance that she would be like, all right, you know, heck with it. Like, what's the world going to say? We're married. Like, oh, I can't kiss my husband in public. Like, she just gets embarrassed, or I don't know what happens. But also then when we have a fight, I'm also the first one that's like, hey, I'm very sorry about that. I was wrong. I shouldn't have did that. She may say, okay. She's never going to apologize for anything she does.
Okay, so first of all, that's not how your apologies go.
How do they
They're
go?
Something like, if I did something, I'm sorry, or I'm sorry for, but you should also be sorry.
Well, a lot of times it's like, hey, I'm sorry if I did hurt your feelings, but I didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah, okay, so that kind of apology.
Well, yeah, because I am apologizing that your feelings got hurt.
But you're not apologizing for what you did to hurt my feelings.
Because if it wasn't wrong, why would I apologize
Because
for
it
the
hurt
action?
my feelings.
That doesn't mean it's wrong.
Or you'll be like, let's just let this go. I'm sorry that blah, blah, blah. And then you'll sit there for a second, and then you'll look at me and be like, well, ain't you going to apologize? Like,
right. Like,
I didn't do anything.
if you're the person that's
I didn't do anything.
giving a nice, heartfelt apology, you expect one in return, Amanda.
Yes, but when you're the party in this that didn't do anything, what is it that I would be apologizing for?
You got offended over something that wasn't offensive. That's your part. We know that every person plays a part in every situation. You know?
No.
If anybody is watching this, I don't care if it's only one person, can you please chime in and let us know your thoughts on some of these topics, on how people act and not apologize, and that everybody has a part. You know, I'm quick to say I'm sorry because 99% of these arguments don't matter to a hill of beans. Correct?
Right.
So, and you'll be like, you're just saying you're sorry and sweeping it under the rug.
I will say, I'm sorry too. I will say that.
Sometimes she will, I'm sorry too, you know, but she's never going to go in to be like, hey, I'm genuinely sorry.
Because I genuinely didn't do anything. Like, Amanda, I don't know what you want me to apologize for. Most of the stuff that we take issue with is because you talk too much. Because you'll be starting with something and then all of a sudden you'll start over explaining, going on and on and on. You're around the fifth circle and you've said something that was foot in mouth and you think you can explain your way out of it enough, and then it starts, and then you want to act like that it was my fault that I got offended, because instead of just getting to the point, you needed to talk for 20 minutes and you ended up sticking your foot in your mouth.
Well, I'm just very good at using adjectives and descriptive words and describing a situation. I like to give people the full story, and I like for people to know and see the big picture of a situation or a topic before we have the full conversation.
No, because when you don't just get to the point, people are just like, they're not even listening anymore.
I agree. Sometimes I do
listen.
have to chase people around to talk to them, to tell them a story, because mid-story, they'll just walk off from me.
Yeah, because mid-story's 30 minutes in.
Yeah, well, they could just tell me. Who was it that I worked with? Was it Saucy? I can't remember. But I worked with somebody, and they would just tell me, hey, I don't have time right now. They would just say, I don't have time.
Know.
They knew.
Anybody
right.
that knows Johnny knows that if you don't have an hour to start a conversation with him, do not start a conversation with him.
But I respect that much more of somebody just saying, hey, I don't have time right now, rather than, them just walking off mid-sentence.
It's not mid-sentence, Johnny.
It is for me.
It's 30 minutes in,
but it's
and
still
you haven't come up for air. Like, there are times that you're into something in a conversation, and I feel like I need to come over there and breathe for you because you have not come up for air.
Yeah, we had somebody at work the other night that is, I think, in maybe psychology, and part of they're in college, and part of their classes, they're having to go to different prisons and stuff right now. And so he's just very inquisitive about drug abuse, addiction, alcoholism, how it affected us. Did we go through withdrawals? All these questions. And so when he asked me the other day,
75 minutes later, he's able to go about doing his job.
This is not a SpongeBob episode, just so you know, where you did think of your little meme saying 75 minutes later.
That's how it was.
But he asked me, so I get excited. I like to be able to, educate people on stuff like that. But, one other thing too is also, nobody probably will say anything, but if anybody has any ideas that they would like us to talk about, if anybody would like us to do any reaction videos or debates on specific topics, there's some topics that me and Amanda could definitely debate heavily on. If there's any like relationship, marriage advice, do you all want us to talk more about, recovery, addiction, stuff like that? Please just, let us know. Just put it in the comments, and, we'll do, a video on whatever anybody would like to see. I've thought about doing just simple reviews on different items because I have every gadget known to man. I've thought about doing some Lego videos and talk and just kind of tell my story while I'm building those. I thought that would be cool. But yeah, we've made it to the hour mark. I hope this sounds good. When we talk, it's picking up on both our mics. I don't know why that's happening, but anyways, yeah, I've got a new ending quote too. You want to know what it is?
What?
Take a guess.
I don't know.
Well, if you're watching this, you're not in debt. But if you're watching this, I'm gonna say it again.
I thought it was gonna be, shut up, Amanda.
No, I'm saying that now because you're making fun of me. If you're watching this, that means you're not dead. You're not in jail. So today was not a bad day. See ya.